Today we're looking at the beautiful 6'2". It's the GL-50 from Kawai, the largest in the GL line, an incredible sounding instrument. We're going to play it. We're going to talk about the features that make this an incredible instrument, incredible value, and Ted's going to play it for us. So let's take a listen to it and let's talk about what makes it great.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in downtown San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We appreciate your support. We love to interact with you. Well, Ted, again, I think we're starting these videos with a big thank you. We've eclipsed the 10,000 subscribers mark, which is
Correct.
a big thank you to everybody watching. Thank you guys. We will continue to make great content. One thing that we're dedicated to doing now is bringing a little piano trivia into every video. Just a little snippet.
True fact.
A true fact. I think today Ted brought the fact.
How many strings are on a piano?
Well, yeah, so, 88 notes, right?
So it's got to be at least 88.
There's 88 strings, is that right?
Well, you would think so in theory if it was like a guitar.
One for each note.
On average, there's about 226 strings on a piano.
Wow, 226.
Yeah, it all depends on how they, voice it out and how many single, doubles, and triples you have.
And I'm guessing
and whether they're wound or
and I'm guessing here, but is it because the longer the string is, the thicker it is, and it's a louder note? As you move up, the strings get longer or get shorter, and probably not as loud, right?
They get thinner too, right?
They get thinner, so they double, triple, and it's one of those reasons why when you go hit a note on a piano, sometimes if you're a novice and you just go hit a note on a piano, it's like, well, how can one note be out of tune? Like on a guitar, that doesn't make sense. How, you strum one string, how could that be out of tune with itself? And so that's the reason.
Yeah.
So there's not 88 strings, 226
on average about 226.
Depends where they start doubling and tripling.
Yeah, more than 2/3 of those are going to be unisons. In other words, they're strings that have to sound like the ones next to them. Mm-hmm. So they're grouped in threes.
One day we'll talk about how it's the same string on some of them.
Yeah.
They just wind around.
That's another fact.
We'll talk about that on a different fact. Well, today we are talking about a beautiful piano, the largest of the GL line, which if you're unfamiliar with Kawai's product line, they have different levels of grand pianos, and the GL series is, they're most modestly priced, starting with the GL-10, which is the 5-foot, 5x5 really is what it is. It's and probably their best seller because of the price. The GL-10 and now the GL-20, I think in 2018 switched over to being manufactured in Indonesia, as the GL-20 was moved to that facility. Still a Kawai factory, very similar to what Yamaha does with their GB1K, but their two entry lines are made in Indonesian factories, and they pump out a lot of them because that's their
big demand on the smaller.
And then when you move up to the GL-30, which is the 5'5", the GL-30, the GL-40, and the GL-50. Those three models are made in their Japanese facility. So, it's a little bit interesting as you move halfway through the line, it moves to their nicer factory.
Now, I've noticed that here in the store, we don't have a whole lot of GL-40s. And I don't know if there was a delivery or manufacturer, or if that's a high demand piano.
It is a pretty high demand piano because
I think that's the one that they put a lot of the QRS systems in. The GL-40s and 30s hit a lot of it.
Well, the 42, so the GL-40 and the GL-50 are the equivalent in the GX line. So the GX line is their professional series piano. The GX1 comes in right at the same as the GL-30. So it gets a little confusing, but it's a 5'5" GX1. The GX series is really the continuation of what was the KG series.
Right.
So if you ever see an old KG2, or if even the RX is what replaced the KG. So the RX2 then became the GX2. So that's always been kind of what Kawai's been known for in the grand scheme of things, if you will.
Right.
But the two in particular is kind of like what the Yamaha C3 is. It's like their famous scale design, and people, you see them in churches, you see them all over the place. But the KG2, the KG3, the RX2, the RX3, now the GX2 and the GX3, that 5'11" to 6'2". So it's right there at that 6 foot. It's on both sides of the 6 foot line, which a lot of people look at as they set their sight on and they say, I'm looking for a 6 foot piano. And the 511, when it comes to centimeters, is like 1 centimeter off from a 6 foot piano. So the GL-40, very popular piano because it is the equivalent of a GX2 in size and scale design. The GL-50, which is what we're looking at today, is the equivalent of a GX3.
Lovely instrument.
Very wonderful.
The GL-50 to me, dollar for dollar, is a top grand piano for just a run-of-the-mill grand piano. At 6'2", that size construction. Fascinating thing about this piano, though, what I like about it is it has, in some shape, form, or fashion, everything that's in a Shiguru Kawai piano has been transitioned and turned into appearing in these pianos as well, the GL series.
Yeah.
And the GL-50s and the GL-40s, they have that the core system in those two GL-40 and 50 models have the core system, which is that it's an acronym for convergence of, optimum reflected energy. And it's the whole concept of having the frame that has, the support beams that go out and they come into a metal plate. And all of that is designed to keep all of the energy from the rim.
Yeah.
And then also they have the tapered soundboard as part of that. And then also what they call the solid, which is their stretcher overlap, what they call it integrated design. It's the whole design, which is instead of the initial note hit, all the energy that comes after that is always transferring from the rim back through the beams, through everything, right up through the soundboard again.
Yeah, and that again, you hit it. It's the everything from the GL to the GX to the SK. So the Shigeru Kawai product, which is the very highest level of what Kawai manufactures. Right. When you get to their kind of more professional level pianos, the GL-40 up through the SK7 and the SKEX, they're really what they're trying to do is control all the energy. So when you hit the note, the string vibrates, the soundboard vibrates, and it doesn't lose any of the sound to the rim. It's all trying to come back straight to that center, right where you're sitting, right? About a foot and a half in front of you.
It's all about creating that concept of what Kawai believes is everything in a piano is tone. Mm-hmm. And the GL-50, I've tuned a number of GX2s, and a GL-50 next to a GX2, I didn't look at prices because I'm not buying either one of them, but I'm telling you, that is a really tough comparison. Those two pianos, I could see where someone would pick any one over the other. Mm-hmm. It's going to be based on just individual preference. But the pianos themselves play great and they sound great. And, they have all of the these little fancy things that just make the SK pianos, the Shigeru Kawais, a little bit special. They have one thing I think is that composer's desk. There are not too many of them laid down at an angle. And now if you're using a laptop or something or a iPad, it's a pretty cool angle to have there because it doesn't really show up a lot. Mm-hmm. That desk I thought was a cool thing. It's something that's on almost all of them, but it has those little hinges that come out and they lay down. So a lot of people don't even realize that that's what those do.
Yeah, it's cool. So the actual engine of these things is the Millennium 3 action.
The carbon fiber action, the ABS carbon component parts that they put in there is just it's flawless. It's flawless action. And then the other thing is they take the same kind of action rails that they have on the SK pianos. And here they use aluminum. They have solid aluminum brackets to hold everything. And it all stays in place. And right down to where they have the stabilizers on the side of the shanks, they also have the serrated edge flat underneath there with the insuliner to hold back on the noise and the clunking sound.
Yeah.
So when you play it, it's a real quiet delivery of the action. And it's like a professional grade piano.
If you haven't seen anything about the Millennium 3, we did a video highlighting the Millennium 3 action where we kind of go over in depth, the aluminum bar that you're talking about and, the brackets and everything that makes it great. A really beautiful piece when you pull it out of any of the Kawai line. It starts at their GL10 and goes all the way up to their SK. But you're just getting more precise, better, stronger.
Well, there's a strong appreciation for the precision in the machinery and in the whole concept of the mechanism and the whole piano action. When you look at it, you can really see which parts are carbon fiber and which components that are in there are like the wood shank, the wolf felt hammer. You can see all of this stuff, and it's really kind of fascinating because a lot of players, and certainly a lot of people that are just buying a piano, have never seen the inside of a piano action pulled out.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other features they have as well. They have a steel reinforced key bed, which not a lot of piano manufacturers put that in there. And the older a piano gets, sometimes you see the key bed begins to get a little bit of a dip in the middle. And a lot of manufacturers build it where there's a little bit of a contrast to the dip, a concave. They build it so there's a little bit of reinforcement in the center for all that pounding and playing. But with steel reinforced, it'll just always stay there. And it does add a lot solid feel to the whole foundation and frame of the piano.
Well, let's take a listen to it. Ted's going to play it for us, and we're going to come back and talk about who the GL-50 might be for and why you should come try one out. If you're looking at any grand piano, it's a fantastic pleasure. We'll talk about some pricing and some other features when we get back.
Well, Patrick, one thing I didn't mention, I wanted to before we went to the playing, I guess it doesn't matter, is I've tuned all the GL pianos, and they're a great thrill to tune. Mm-hmm. Now, this one here was just a touch out of tune, but it was perfectly in tune before we started to shoot the video. But today was a long, it took us forever, and everyone that walked by that piano pounded on it. And then I had to go through a couple things because we had people coming in and out. So I thought my best takes got trashed. But anyway, it just reminded me, don't forget to mention how much fun these things are to tune. These are great pianos. They tune relatively very easily. Mm-hmm. And they're nice to, I like to tune them, get them in pitch, and go back and really work on that tone.
Yeah, and to me, when you look at the GL-50, it's a 6'2" piano, which, kind of categorizes it as this piano is ready for a stage or ready for,
That's a professional grade instrument.
Yeah, a very high level player. And when you compare it up against the GX series, what are the differences? And so the GL-50 comes in MSRP. So MSRP is retail price, which is usually not where you're going to end up playing, but $44,295 is what it is. So you're looking at almost $45,000 for a GL-50. When you move up to the GX, you're going to be paying more. But what are you getting? The rim gets a little bit thicker. They start using.
We get better hammers, different wool.
Different feel of the keys too. They do their Neotex on the key tops. So there's just these little slight upgrades that Kawai, they'll do when you get the next level up, but they're not huge. To me, you really have to be a player and sit at the instrument and see which one speaks to you. But they're really making a fantastic instrument at the price point that they want to say, hey, this is what we think this is worth, and it's we're trying to give you two options here of a very high quality, crafted in Japan, incredible instrument. And so that's why the GL, for us, the GL-30, 40, and 50 are great sellers, just because it's with the approach of value. And it's kind of funny to be talking about this many thousands of dollars and be talking about value.
Right, value for dollars.
But you think about what a piano is, and to players, what they'll be spending their time doing, and every single thought out component of it, from the steel, the piano. Well, you're talking about the
steel reinforced key bed.
The key bed, yeah. Sorry, the key bed, the steel key bed to the I'm losing all my words, but the one that's also has the steel reinforced.
Oh yeah, it has the key slip is also steel reinforced.
Yeah, so the keys, every little small detail of this instrument, the slow closed lid.
Right.
They've really thought about it and said, hey, how do we keep the value where it's needed, and then make small incremental upgrades as to our upgraded product.
Right.
Because you are getting a lot of the same things, the Millennium 3 action.
But you have to realize too, this is what a lot of people don't realize is, like, you talked about the Neotex keys. Mm-hmm. Okay, just that one thing adds a lot to the cost when you multiply it by 88. And that's the whole concept of a piano. If you wanted to change out to a higher grade of hammer shank, or hammer, or wool, when you multiply it by 88, it bumps the cost up.
Well, and
so when you're looking at the GX and then you look at the GL, and you're playing them side by side, which I did today, but I also included an SK just to get a feel. They all play the same, but I'm telling you, the power that comes out of the keys on the GX,
you play differently because of it.
You play differently because of it. And on SK, when you feel that power, it's like, whoa.
Well, people are always like, this just feels so different. And it's like, I don't know if it feels different or that you play better or play different because of the response you're getting.
You feel like you have to manage a lot more power
on some of the nicer
instruments.
And so this is the GL-50. We will be comparing it up against some of the similar GXs. Hopefully we'll get a GX3 to compare it against, or the GX2 even, because it's in that kind of 6-foot range. It's only a 3-inch difference. But yeah, you get a lot for the money, and definitely worth coming and trying out. If you're looking at any grand piano right now, it's definitely worth getting out there and putting your fingers on it.
So are you polished ebony or satin? Because I'm a satin.
I think we'll save that for our next piano fact.
Okay.
But yeah, the satin pianos do sound incredible, and we've kind of gone over just piano finish matter, but that's a topic for another day. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel to check out our other videos. We will bringing lots more great content, more acoustic instruments, more digital instruments, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you guys for watching.